And there we go. We're going into game number 4 between Nod and ACES. And game number 4 will be the decider if Nod takes it, but I don't think that ACES are going to let Nod take it down very easily. We do have the T-32s from Dom and Tony versus the IS-3 and T-32 combination from Nod with the Child of Corn and Art of War Poems. So the surprising tactic of taking the tier 8 artillery has made it so that Nod did take the third game surprisingly well, considering it connected very early with one of the AMXs from ACES, and that worked massively in their favor. So we will see them now attempt a third game win. Now they did win one game with this sort of strategy, so there's no reason why they couldn't, but ACES took the first game very decisively, so we'll see if Nod has fully adapted to ACES tactics and will take 3 games in a row. They're going in the defensive formation where they did win the second game, and they're sticking with it this time. They've got the Bazaar, I Love Electro, Child of Corn, Art of War Poems with Slava in the rear, with their T1 Scout over on the far side and one in the rear to protect, to make sure that things don't go wrong. So Bo Poby being on the front line here, making sure that he's the linchpin of the Nod tactics. He needs to see what is going on and try not to die to a rush of enemy T1s. Last time Crigley and Armour came forward and did kill him before he was able to do any damage, so let's hope for his sake that it doesn't happen again, while we watch out to decide what ACES are doing. Pings are going out in the middle on the beginning of the tracks, as we see shots landing there randomly. I guess it's playing a game of guess a bush, any bush for the enemy T-32s, but they were not spotted from firing. So that is information in its own right, guys. If you fire a shot and you're not spotted, there's no enemies near you, or at least in your line of sight of you, So that's really important information there. Risk probably by Tony. We've seen Tony act as the forward guy for their team before, and I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't expect anyone different to be doing it this time. Pings are going off to let the teammates know that someone did see that damage that we saw come over and knock this segment of wall out. With Bo Poby at the front still, nothing's going to happen here from Nod. They're going to wait to see what ACES do first. At least that's what they did last time. And it seemed to work for them, considering they did win the engagement at the end. Keeping all their forces clumped together seems to be the better tactic on town maps like this. Although we have seen them in the past be outmaneuvered by such a thing. And I'm just going to check on the progress of my special guest. And no reply just of yet. We have nothing going on, actually, to be fair. This is the waiting game that you'll see many teams play because there's a lot of money on the line. So a lot of money on the line, and they've got to make sure that they don't drop any games, and Nod need this victory. Their scores aren't particularly great so far in the league. They're not doing bad, they're not doing brilliantly, and so they really do need these 3 points. And here we see Armour does come forward and is spotted by Bo Poby, so now both teams know where the other T1 forward scout is. Armour and Bo Poby facing off here, using proximity scouting to find out each other's locations, which is the 50-meter rule. We also have Pog moving up to see if he can support him. So if Armour comes around this corner to try and take out Bo Poby, we'll see that Pog will give covering fire. But no one else in Nod is moving currently. They are holding fast, waiting to see what ACES have up their sleeve. Now, I do expect ACES to actually be the eventual aggressors here, because they... well, actually, no, I don't. They lost the last time they were aggressive here, so I expect Nod to have to be. But here's Virtuous ACES, not the type of tank they expected. Driving forward, killing Bo Poby, and moving back immediately. They didn't expect that. Pog obviously expected the other T1 and using a dual T1 strategy to take out Bopobi, but no, Virtuous comes forward and just takes him down. So now Nod loses their forward scouting, and Aces can move forward without any fear of being spotted. Five minutes gone into the game and still neither team has the confidence to make much of a move. Aces move forward obviously to kill Bopobi over there, but that is all. We see that Pog has moved back into a position to cover the far east, expecting Aces to come round, but we have seen Aces mostly come through the town, and there's no reason to expect anything different so far. Both teams here not being so confident in what they're wanting to do, just sitting around and playing the waiting game. Whoever has the most patience wins in this game, and in fact, Nod would probably actually push for a draw, because if they drew in this game, and then the next game they drew or won, they would win the set. So they're trying to make the enemy make the move and make the mistake. Because if Aces move in and Nod are ready for them, they will win the engagement in theory, and Nod will have the advantage to be able to go 3-1 up against Aces. And that may be what they're trying to do here, try and waiting Aces out, and Aces have to make a move because they've got to make the win. They've got to make at least 2 more wins, so they have to win this game and the next one if they want a hope of winning. But if they draw this game or the next one, they actually they can no longer win, and they have to settle for a draw at best. And here comes the capture as Armour goes right on the corner there with Virtuous Aces, trying to find Pog as Bopobi is already down, but Krigley does see him as well, trying to get the hurt onto him, but they did not connect with enough shots. And here comes Out of War, Pones, Child of Corn, and I Love Electro around the side. No, I Love Electro decides he's going to sit back, and they run into Golcon as well as Virtuous Pro. This looks like a trap set by Aces. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the team turn up there, and they are. They're all around this area, and this is Aces versus Nod. Game number 4. This battle here will decide whether Nod takes the 3 points or whether Aces will. 3 minutes left on the clock. It's not close enough to be a draw, and Virtuous Aces has taken a lot of damage, and he goes down. His teammate just didn't help him, left him to die, and that could be the deciding move. If Aces had actually moved forward with him while the enemy were firing at him, they could have done some serious damage, but they're not out of this. But that is a huge mistake they've made there, and they're now really far behind. Tony now trying to make something happen around the far side, but again, they're being pushed back to being just the 4 there, being utterly surrounded. Aces need to break out one side, so they're not going to be surrounded when the enemy comes on the corner. They're going to try to do that against Slava. Slava's not one more shot to be killed, but the Desire was getting in the way. In the meantime, Golcon goes down, and so does Unforgettable, which means that Dom's going to go down very shortly afterwards. Great teamwork from Nod there, protecting their assets, and Slava took ages to die, which means Aces are going to go down with a very good set there. Both the T1s are trying to cap though, with 24 seconds left on the clock, and they did take out Pog, and so it's all about Rizal getting back. He's got 15 seconds to get there. Armour is very far forward, so this isn't going to be super close, but he would have to be very unlucky unless he's got only one shot and misses it. He went for the ram, and he was being cocky. That went so close. With 2 seconds left on the clock, he decides to shoot. The next shot threats, but his teammate shoots and does finish off through the tracks there on the lower level. And that means that Nod are going to take this set away from Aces, but there's still one more game to play tonight for them. Now, if we have a look at the scoreboards, we see that Nod now, with 4 games played, have got 9 points. They're definitely up there with the leaders, with not many teams there having got that many points. Gra and Gratiem are obviously going to be fighting out for the points tonight, so whoever wins in that will be above them also with them with 9 points as well. Although if Gratiem wins, they will go to 10 points, and they would be the second largest team, or second highest scoring team. when Rush plays, we will see them have a chance to get right to the top there with Mind, who are the only person who have won every single game so far, or so every single set so far. Tomorrow's schedule will be Rage versus Lobster first game, followed by Rush and New Star. Today we have Aces versus Nod, one more game left, then the set between Red Gra and Gra TM, which is going to be very exciting. Synergy and Red Rush Unity finishes off the night, which is a fantastic game. So there we go, and I'm going to check 3. And we are going to have another guest on, in theory. He's saying that he will be ready soon. So I will not be solo hosting for too much more of a night. But that's really good for us. We're going to see if either team, though, has decided that they're going to make a change to the lineup again. Will Nod return to their artillery lineup for their final match, or will they just stick with what they've got? I expect Nod to be a bit more aggressive now that they've actually won the set. They can relax a little and try something ballsy, but they are going to maybe try and secure that last win to give them as many wins against Aces as possible. If you look here, Aces and Nod a one loss behind Aces, or before this match they were, so they do want to get as far ahead as possible with as many wins as they can. So cool, yeah. And the answer is we have 3 AMX 5100s coming in there for Aces. They've got rid of the T69. He did go down very early, and that's probably the reason we're there. But Bo Poby is going out of the battle, probably pick up his object for the final game. And here he comes. Will he come back? Will he come back? Bo Poby is coming back. What's he gonna be? An artillery? Yes, he is. Object 261. Last battle, he scored just below 2,000, and we're going to see if he scores anywhere near that damage again. The trouble with artillery is if they miss, they have such a slow reload time at tier 8. And as we saw, even with a good hit against an AMX, you don't necessarily one-shot them, which means the whole reload time with them still being able to use all their shells. But if you got your team in a good enough formation, you will obviously be able to clean up as many of them as you can. So we are going to see the Object 261 being used again. Oh yeah! And I actually want to see how well it does. Is it a fluke that it won the first battle that it was seen in, or was it actually a good tactic? We're seeing not many teams actually use artillery, but the last ones that did not use a high tier 1 on Ensk, because it is, in theory, considered a city map, which is usually favours combat tanks and close brawlers and not the artillery. But Ensk is a reasonably large map with lots of areas to move around, and we will see Nod try to lure Aces out of the city and into the open to try and do as much damage as they can with the object. Oh, my word. Hey, Cryer! Awesome. So the KV5 is being discussed there. As Bo Pogy is actually saying about the KV5 there. I'm not sure what they're asking. Are they saying, hey, why is no one taking the KV5? I'm going to check that now. RT level 8, not half year already. I beg of you to take the KV5. Themselves wanted to see the RT. KV5, oops, sorry. KV5 is ill. So that's what they're saying there, guys. They're saying the KV5 is ill and they can't take it out because of that reason. So I hope that was the translation. Otherwise, I've just made an interesting story out of the roughly translated Russian on Google Translate. So we're going into the 5th game here from Aces versus Nod. We're going to be following up this game after a short break. With Red Gra versus Gra TM, and hopefully then I'll have a special guest for you and I will not be a solo host any longer. Going into game. Boom.